Yada da la da da la da do do do. Okay.
Let me tell you how much I hate Windows. Because I haven't changed anything.
Is it because the sun can come through them?
That's funny. You know what? One of my jobs was I was actually a Microsoft Windows cleaner. You know, little squeegee. Come on, window cleaner? Nothing? All right.
Yeah,
fine.
no, I'm more annoyed that we lost the last 10 minutes. So, anyway, to recap.
John's pale.
Yeah.
Kirk was a tree planter, and we started talking about a dark age, which you probably got a hint of because John talked about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, so
and
I'm going
Kirk
to...
still smells ungodly. Okay, you're caught up. Come on, you left yourself... You caught up everybody except your... All right.
So,
scene.
I will reiterate it so it's kind of contingent on when we do the upload, and it's a little bit more cohesive. We were talking about, are we currently living in a dark age? And I'm equating that to the regulations that are currently in place that prevent companies from completely gutting the workforce and replacing it with automation. And I was talking about, just to kind of give it a heads up, it was the automotive, or not the automotive, the trucking industry is likely to be the first to go as soon as the regulations are gone to replace truckers with automated vehicles that can do the job for them. So my thought is, if the companies did not have these regulations to protect the workers and to make sure that people were getting paid and had jobs, how much different would today be if that was the case? If every job that could be automated was automated?
Well, here's my rebuttal, and I've had a few minutes to think about this, and I think we would be pushed further into a dark age. And follow me on this. So all the workers get replaced with robots. Now you have a whole population of people who, I understand, we've talked about it before, you think that they would just have room to create and do all this other stuff. The question would then be, why do we need people? If robots are doing all the work, what are people? I mean, people become less relevant the more and more that gets done by things that aren't real. So,
yes, but that's the end goal of capitalism anyway. And I'm not trying to rag on capitalism because I said I wasn't going to, but the whole end goal of capitalism is to make the absolute most money possible, period. And the best way to do that is by getting rid of the people that are costing you the most money.
Right, but in the broader sense, you have to think that the only reason that a company is in business is to make money, right? So they're trying to make money. Well, if everybody is making the same money, let's say, everybody's laid off, so everybody's getting a universal basic income, who cares about money?
Well, that's just it. If everything's run by robots, why is money a thing?
Right. So capitalism doesn't play a whole lot into that, but
I don't know. It's the capitalism thing. Just at a certain point, and this is maybe a silly analogy, but it's like you tell your 3-year-old you stop your 3-year-old from eating all the cookies they want to eat. You can't let billionaires get all the money they want because they have no self-control. And they just suck it up to themselves, and it's like you got to spread it around. You're hoarding. You're a hoarder, and you're just you're not doing good with it. You have more numbers than the other guy. You're very impressive. Well done.
I think that the problem there, John, is that in this idea of a dark age, I understand where you're going here. But I don't know that we are theoretically in the dark age yet. I mean, yes, you could say, you could say that technology may not be advancing to its full potential, but in the long run, I mean, we're talking dark age, right? They didn't have anything, so they had to build. We don't necessarily have to build,
but it's not like things just stopped in the dark ages in the medieval time. It still progressed. It's just there was and I'm not very good with medieval history, but things still progressed, but it was still repressed, and certain things were repressed and stagnated and to that effect.
But yeah, they used to have jousts, which I still think is cool as hell. But
do you think they had post-interview wrap-ups? You know what I mean? Do you think at any point, like the you got knocked off the horse, you got hit by the thing, and then you got to go talk to a guy? You're like, yeah, you saw it happen. He hit me with his stick, and I fell off. What are we talking about here?
Yeah, well, I mean, you'd like to think so. And the guy was like talking into a tree branch or something because they didn't have microphones.
Yeah, he was just broadcasting live with no electricity. There's a stick in a pine cone.
That's a funny thought.
But you see what I'm saying though, right? Like the end goal of capitalism at this point is automation. The thing that is currently stopping that is regulation. Correct?
I'm not agreeing with. I'm.
If they can get rid of human flesh, yes, human flesh is weak, metal is strong.
Because I think that realistically, the amount of oversight into the implication of robots isn't necessarily just capitalism. It's like you have so many different avenues that are going to be
and that's just
split into, there's too many variables to say that, if everybody, that's the end goal of capitalism is to bring in all robots. Well, there's too many things to calculate.
So you're saying it's positive innovation. This is a good thing.
Here's the thing, though. Bringing in robots and automating would be the end goal of every economic what's the word? Ideology, that's it. I was forgetting a syllable there. So, like, take socialism. Socialism is still going to want to bring in robots. Because less people working, more, you're distributing the wealth. Communism, same thing. If the robots are creating all of the stuff for everyone and there's no money, yay. It's the end goal of every economic ideology that automation is it. You want everything automated so that people do not have to work.
Human beings are a net loser, business-wise. If we could get rid of human beings who might have to take a day off or want sick pay or gotta go blah blah blah, all of those are eliminated.
Just look at any factory line that's been automated. You had hundreds of people doing the job, and then all of a sudden, one line of robots takes over and replaces all of them. This isn't something new. This has happened continuously throughout history. And we've talked about this before, but even with like ships, people used to row the ships. And then they found out that they could get the wind to do it. So it was a combination of both. And then you have, motors that do it. Everything has been replaced by automation.
Progress keeps happening. You keep moving on to the better thing, the more efficient thing.
And humans aren't the efficient thing in this equation.
Yes,
we know for we know for a fact that humans are imperfect. But I think if you kind of have, I think about it this way: if you have only robots in the workforce, innovation then stops.
Why?
Because why do you need to go any further? I mean,
because see, this is the thing that people that argue this point like to say is that there would not be anyone that would be pursuing advancement.
I think that's what business people do. It's always more.
But
like that's their sickness.
So, and that's the thing. So hear me out on this one. All the people that are currently in science and doing stuff like that, they're not getting paid necessarily well, especially areas where, you know, the science isn't exactly the main focus of the world. Like, we can even take current events. Like, mRNA vaccines have been developed since the 80s, but the funding for them, the research behind them has always been limited and lacking. Until last year. And now they are being tested in everything. There was an mRNA vaccine that could potentially protect, or brought, I should say, there was one that they were testing that brought back damaged heart tissue in mice. Like, I would absolutely stand up and take a shot of that if it could rejuvenate my heart.
These mice with the broken hearts. they mended the broken hearts of love-stricken hearts. That's sweet.
My point with this is that there are people currently doing research and doing jobs either that are unpaid. I know quite a few that are very, very underpaid that have been working on doing research for decades, their entire life. They've been doing this research. And the only thing that's limiting them is the fact that, A, they don't have a whole lot of money, so the research and the progress is slow, and B, it's not a popular field. So what if the money issue wasn't there? Like,
well, they should just do a podcast and make millions like we do.
Yeah, we are rolling it, by the way, seriously. But no, it's just the if we get 100% robot workforce, you know what the odd part is? Sexual harassment is going to go up. The robots are horny. Just sign.
It's all that polished chrome, Kirk.
Is that what it is? Just the stainless steel? We'll see about that. Oh, all right.
See, that's my thing is, like, yes, I understand, like, there wouldn't be people forced to do jobs or forced to do research. People would be doing the research because they enjoy it. Like,
well, people had to pull a plow by themselves, and then they got a mule to do it. Better. Well done.
Yeah.
You know, that's in the right direction.
Like, the human race has progressed far and wide from, you know, using primitive tools to we have machines that make tools for us now. A majority of that was done without economic or money-based, you know.
Well, but here's
no money. I was reading a book. Money wasn't introduced, or like global wealth didn't start until like kind of recently. Because when it was agricultural, it was just kind of living and surviving. Like if you had bread, if you had bread that day, you were considered not poor.
But they also had there was civilizations that were rich. But
yes, but
but here's the thing: you might in the long run, you might just be a little over anxious, and I only say that because in the grand scheme of our universe, technological advancement has only been 100 years. I mean, yes, you could say that swords turned into hammers turned into, you know, saws, whatever it might be. We were still Neanderthals up until, you know, a certain point, and then things started moving.
Do you have a year? Do you have a guess? Like, what would you say? When did we stop being Neanderthals?
I would say about 6,000 to 7,000.
Well, I'm saying, like, think about
as a culture, as a society, like,
well, think about the 1800s. You know,
like industrial revolution, or like, go ahead.
Well, I mean, look at, you had the 1800s, right? What did you have? You had boats. You had
which we've had since like
I know boats
1000 BC.
Right. So you're still using the same tech. I mean, the telephone was created in the early 1900s. Boom. Okay, so now you got a telephone. That's crazy.
But yeah, your horses and dirt roads, and yeah, not a lot.
No, I would
like
agree.
The Wild West was still a thing in
Panning
the
for
1800s.
gold was
Yeah.
legit. People would go onto those yonder hills and come back with a mule and a donkey. And then, I don't want to say you're a gold prospector, but you have a beard and a mule. All right.
And you use TNT. Ha ha ha. But you see where I'm going, right? So
No, I do.
100 years ago, we're in the roaring 20s where technology wasn't a thing, right? They prohibitioned alcohol. Like, come on.
Yeah, but that was the Christians.
Regardless, I'm saying, look, the 1950s, the 1960s, we had televisions that were coming in. We had, in the 80s, everybody had a landline, which was really cool. And you had, I remember when the wireless or the cordless phones where you could actually walk away from the phone.
Do you remember the car phone?
Crap.
Do you remember the car phone when that was a thing? Where you
could
plug a...
So, I have a rebuttal to your I see where you're going. But how many of those inventions before, 1940 were done purely for monetary gains? Because the Wright brothers
one of them.
But were the Wright brothers being paid to try and fly up until they flew? Because I guarantee it's not.
I read a book about them. It was a passion project with those guys. Those guys were obsessed.
Exactly.
That was just their thing. That was the thing. They're like, we're working on this. Like, we're bike guys, we're mechanics, but...
And look at Tesla and Edison. Like, Edison stole a bunch of stuff, but Tesla went through and his whole thing was developing that stuff. And he was poor. Like, dirt poor.
Well,
I mean, obviously...
there's always a case to be made for people who are passionate and do things pro bono without a rotten intention of making money or whatever. But it's arguable that 99% of people are going to do things for monetary gain, or just like when we started this podcast, it wasn't for monetary gain, and now we make millions.
Okay, so
we're smoking cigars. The Monopoly guy comes and hangs out with us. So, by the way, that was two big rebuttals you guys both had. You guys like big rebuttals, and you can't lie. All right,
that's true.
Go ahead.
So, Chris, so you're going to sit there and tell me that if money wasn't the factor, there'd be no reason for someone to go in and try and invent something.
Maybe not. But what I'm trying to say is you might be jumping the gun on your Dark Age theory, because in the long run, we are still, yes, our technology is much crazier than even when, we were kids. But things have been moving so quickly that
doesn't mean it's progress.
I don't know. For my 4K TV rocks compared to what I watched as a kid.
No, right. And can you imagine, in 40 years, what it's going to be? And it seems like it just keeps getting shorter and shorter, the time span. Just the time span where you can go, wow, I feel like an old person. I don't know. You know what I mean? It just keeps, it's like more and more and more, and it just keeps getting better.
I agree.
Why would it stop?
My thing is, see, we've kind of derailed this, because my thing wasn't so much.
I feel like the whole point of your spiel is that you don't want to work anymore and you want a robot to do it so that you can create
but
stuff.
That's just it. My job wouldn't
bang on a drum all day.
But see, there are still certain jobs that would not be relegated to automation.
So how do you get those people to do those jobs? Why would I want to do a job that I have to work at when a robot can do my work for me and I don't have to do anything?
Well, and it's like the trucker position we were talking about, you said in the long haul truck. When I thought of it seems like that would be a blessing to not have to do that job, because you're driving 8-10 hours a day. You're away from your family, any semblance of a home life. You know what I mean? It seems like if we could figure out a way to make that would be a good thing. That can't be a pleasant life.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying all jobs would be eliminated, but we have had the technology to go complete automation. That's how we started this podcast. Our first handful of episodes were all about how automation was coming in and killing all the jobs. The thing is if we
hasn't happened.
No, I know. But again, that's because regulations that are preventing So you're going to sit there and tell me if Walmart came out and said, "Hey, tomorrow, or over the next year, we're replacing all of our stores with robots. They're all going to be automated. We'll have 2 people per store. That's all we need now." You don't think that a metric shitload of people would go and start boycotting or picketing or protesting Walmart because they employ over 1 million people?
To be honest, if they were still the cheapest, no, people would still show up because it's a money thing.
And
depressingly, sadly.
Yeah. No, Kirk, I see where John's going. I mean, I understand that he's talking about the, where are those 1 million people going to work if Walmart kicks them all out? Well, then he's saying that they won't let that happen because 1 million people need jobs. I get it. But maybe in 80 years, things will be fully automated, like Futurama style, where you got robots that pretty much do everything. And who doesn't want Bender as a friend?
Bender's great. But can I say, by the way, eliminating Walmart jobs is it's the trucker. Those are horrible jobs. They don't pay well. Most of their people are on welfare and food stamps because they're working full time. And this giant corporation is basically, you're subsidizing because they're paying their people like starved wages. And then they have to get food stamps to make ends meet.
See, here's my thing. Like, they have tried doing fully autonomous restaurants before. Like, McDonald's has one. I just pulled it up. 2 years ago, they had a McDonald's that was fully autonomous. Why isn't that more widespread? Why did that get stopped almost immediately?
Amazon did the same thing. And guess what? People stole the crap out of the store and they shut it down.
Oh, have you seen that? I've seen stories of like delivery guys where they got caught, kind of just, they would drive it and all the packages would, and then they would just sell it or... That's once again, I think it's like, I think people are feeling squeezed. They're like, look, I'm doing this job for this giant corporation. They're paying me okay. Why? What do I got to lose? They're a $1 billion corporation. I really think it's a mindset that's developing of just the big versus the poor.
So here's my other thought, John, and this is what I had time to ponder, and I've had this thought for a while, but there's a quote that I hear often, and it's relevant to what we're talking about. It's I forget who says it, but it's hard times make hard men make easy times make soft men, or something of that nature. And I think that the problem therein lies, if you look at history, anytime there is things are easy, right? So people don't have to do shit jobs and life is relatively good, people become soft, and then great empires fall. Romans, Greeks, they all fell. So maybe a little bit of hardship, which is what most people endure, probably is a good thing.
See, this sounds like a certain talking point of a certain side. Here's my thing. Here's another quote that you could say is, why do we learn history? It's so that we don't repeat it.
And yet we repeat it all the time. So I'm just saying,
and that's just it. Because is that because we don't teach it well enough, or is it because there's other underlying issues?
I don't know.
We don't teach it well enough. We don't. I'll answer it. We don't teach it well enough. Once again, like the billionaires not paying their fair share. That tax money could have been used to pay teachers more and then have more equipment and have better educations, but they didn't do that. They decided to squeeze it, and for 30, 40 years, the education system isn't great. And then you get a dumb populace that is tricked into believing nonsense on the internet, and you wonder why. It's because you didn't pay the teachers anything, and you have a generation that didn't learn anything.
But would you guys say, just from your perspectives, that the generation coming up now is worse off than our generation?
Yes. And only because... See, this is a tough one, because if you look at it, like, you have the silent generation, you have all these generations, And then you have the boomers, who inherited this massive economy and everything was great. And they, all of these social programs were put into place where you have, minimum wage and all this other stuff, Social Security. And that's all going away. Like, the minimum wage hasn't gone up since what, the 70s?
It's not a livable wage, whatever
Yeah.
it is. You could do 40 hours and you need another job and a half.
I mean, even McDonald's, and this is the funniest thing. I don't know how we got on this, but McDonald's did a study where they're like, can you live on our minimum wage? And their whole thing was, yes, if you have a second job.
And that's the whole point. If you're working 40 hours, that should be it. That's the whole point of having a job, is to be able to live.
My question with you, and I did look it up, and I believe the person who did the quote was Michael Hoff. What constitutes a hard time? Because if you look forward, plowing fields and building houses and all of the hard manual work that a lot of people think that, it's, that's what makes people or what makes men strong.
Toughens them up.
Yeah, those are all going away. Like, those are going to be the first things that are automated. We've already talked about this. Like, if 3D printing houses becomes a financially viable thing, that's going to take over. It's already, there was one that was printed in Colorado, right? Or someone moved into the first one that was printed in Colorado.
I think that's the thing. Technology and generations, every generation gets softer. Technology makes life easier. You know what I mean? And like all the things, like, I've never been to war and shot a man and killed a bear, and or just stuff like, like this old John Wayne things that you don't really, it's hard to feel that bravado when you're working in a cubicle.
Well, and that's just it. It's like, it's going to, that the previous generation is always going to have had to have worked harder than the current generation.
Right.
Like that's only because even since zero AC, things have gotten easier with every generation. It may not have been, monumental where, now we don't have to do this certain thing anymore because there's now a tool. It could have been like, oh, hey, I heard if you do this.
Right. Hey, we have clean drinking water now, so we're not dying of weird diseases. And hey, we figured out, wash your medical instruments before the procedure, stuff like that.
But here's my point, and this ties in perfectly, is there's going to be a point where it can't get much easier than it already is.
And that was my point.
And so I'm saying don't be in a rush to go to the future, because there's a point where it stops. Sort
of like the Wall-E. Did you see the Wall-E?
No.
There were people just sitting and not like that. That's what you're picturing.
See, and that's, and if you want my opinion, that was like the capitalist version of end society, where everyone gets the, supersized soda and...
Right. They have the food delivered to them. The company's making money. They're getting fat. Everybody's happy.
Yeah. Wall-E is like the anti-capitalist propaganda.
It was sort of like a warning, but it seems like it's more prophecy. It seems like it keeps leaning, just like Idiocracy, just like Office Space.
Yeah.
There's certain, there's like, okay, it was mocking it, but now it's becoming it, and that's a little creepy.
My thing is there isn't just one, like Wall-E's future, or the future envisioned by Wall-E is not necessarily the future that we're heading towards. What if we're heading towards the Star Trek future, where, everything is automated, but everyone does science-based jobs? There's still doctors, there's still everything, but there's no money. That's the thing with Star Trek, is there is no money because you don't need it. Everyone just works to better society.
That's sort of like a hippie commune kind of thing. That's what the Star Trek was.
Yeah, it's like there are multiple different paths. Like I see, and I'm more on the side that as we progress and get rid of these manual labor jobs, as long as we are putting money into teaching and schooling, people will start doing more high-end or high-tech jobs. Like, if you have a bunch of people that all of a sudden know how to write code and write stuff, you look at the analogy of, if you put in,
I don't. If I think there's a certain mindset, there's a certain brain capacity that, I think I might be in that category. No matter how much you sat me down and tried to make me learn code, I'm not getting it. And maybe, I mean, you know what I mean? It seems like some people go like, well, the coal miners in the mines, you just retrain them to be and you're like, the guy who's been in underground for 30 years, you're going to now. It seemed a little. It was like I don't think that's going to work.
And none of them wanted to do it.
Let me ask you this, Kirk. Would you rather go back to work in a cubicle, or would you rather go back to work planting trees? Planting trees. Exactly.
There's just something about you can see your labor. And not to pat myself on the back, but there's this Buddhist thing about they go plant a tree that you will never enjoy the shade of, meaning do something nice, and that's what I did all day, every day.
So you got thousands of shadeless trees,
right? I never sat underneath them after I planted them. I mean, they weren't big, and
See,
but you feel it's like something you can see, and you're interacting with human beings, and you're under sunshine, and it's like you're. Once again, just like you, when I got home, I could sleep fine because I was tired. I worked.
See, and the thing that we've talked about before and that you brought up is that lazy people are going to be lazy and not want to do stuff. The thing that I would like to point out is they're already not doing stuff. Now you could say, if we went to this society where all the jobs were automated and you really didn't have to work unless you really, really wanted to, would I stay home? Absolutely. At least for, the next 10-ish years. But that's because I would rather stay home with my kids and help them grow up to be good people than work.
Well, wouldn't that be nice? I don't have kids, but it seems like if I had a child, I'd want to really, when they're babies, spend a lot of time with them. It seems like that's when they're sweet and cute and nice. And you want to, so the fact that some people can't even get they have a baby and they have to work a week later, or they have, it seems like the parents aren't given enough time to bond with their kids, most of them, unless you have good benefits or something.
And now that we're on kids, it's also funny that people are complaining that, our generation, no one's having kids, so our numbers are decreasing and yada, yada, yada. Even the Pope was condemning couples that had a dog instead of kids. And it's it's not so much, yes, kids cost a lot in terms of, time and money to raise, but it's also just the fact that even if you had a kid, I barely remember when my oldest was young. There were so many times where I was at work where they were out playing in the snow that I missed. There are moments that I have completely missed because I was toiling away trying to make money.
Right. Well, and don't you think, is it just it seems like a lot of people don't have kids. There's something about you want your kids to be proud of what you do, or at least to be something that's impressive or sounds important. And if you're, working behind the desk of a 7-Eleven or something and $9 an hour, I don't think you're feeling like that's, I'm a breadwinner. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I would argue that those people have more potential that they're just not using. If you're working, granted, I understand that there's circumstances where people can do that, but if you're 35 years old and you're working behind the desk of a 7-Eleven, you should probably strive for more.
Yeah, well, they're pulling up by the bootstraps and stuff, and
logical
there's
fallacy.
Something about people can work harder. Yeah, and some people, I don't know. I don't know. It's tough out there.
I was gonna say, I've worked at 7-Eleven. You're gonna sit there and say that, it's not a hard job. I would disagree. In terms of...
I'm not saying it's not a hard job. I'm just saying
Well, then why are you demonizing someone who's 35 and working there?
because you can find a different job. It's easy enough to do.
I think people they can get stuck in ruts where like that's if you have a job and you don't like it and you don't see it's going anywhere, then yes, please move. Have the, I don't know, self-assuredness that I'll be able to find it. I think that's the thing when people think it's so bad economically that they have to cling and they don't bother looking for a better job.
Which is why I love Gen Z right now, because they're just like, fuck it. This job sucks. I'm going off to the next one. Because they all pay the same anyway. That's the kicker is all these jobs pay the same. So it doesn't matter.
Yep.
You just move around until you find one that's working. And I think that's great because it's fucking over the companies. And they need to be.
Well, because they say like it's the training, bringing in and training new people and hiring new people. That's the costly part. And it just comes back to if you would have a decent working environment, the people you hire might stick around and then you wouldn't have to do that. But if you pay them, you know what I mean? Like if you pay them better and you give them better benefits and you help, you know what I mean? But if you are just, $17 an hour and you get benefits, sort of, I can find that anywhere.
Well, and that's just it. Like, what makes a job working at Geico doing call center stuff? Most people would say, oh, that's a job for someone who's an adult. But working at 7-Eleven is not. Like, it's...
But the people in the call centers are making maybe a little bit more, and they're having to say nonsense to try to make sales quotas just to do whatever to get, you to...
Well, and that's just it. And that, yet the person at 7-Eleven is potentially risking their lives every day, hoping that...
Right, getting held up, mugged, and shot.
Like, I only did 7-Eleven for, 3 months. And it was, some of the times I was just like, this is ridiculous. I don't know how many times people drove off with the fucking nozzle in their gas tank.
And convenience stores are kind of where, the homeless and sort of the derelict hobo-ish community roll through. So, yeah, you're not dealing with high society.
Well, it's just why is that job looked down so much, and yet others aren't? I know we've kind of gone all over the place, and this is supposed to be about talking about dark ages, but it kind of ties into it all. Why are jobs deemed differently? Why is working at McDonald's deemed, for kids or, young adults? But most of the time it's, adults that are working there.
Right. That's the way it was in the 50s. That was, when I was in high school, I worked at the thing for chain. And it's but now it's people who are 29 and have 2 kids. It's different.
Yeah. It's,
but I think, John, that also falls into your category of if everyone's going to try and be creative and do their own thing, why do people get stuck in ruts where they work at McDonald's for 30 years?
Well, because it's... So, okay. I'm going to put this out there because this is how I personally feel. I am not a very big fan of change. Being that I am an introvert, I don't like people in general, which is weird because of the job I have. But...
You must run in the family, huh, Kirk?
Yeah, you guys don't like each other. You're not a fan of folk.
But the thing is I could leave and go get a job pretty much anywhere else. I have the experience, I have the ability. If I did, 3 months more of schooling, I could get a job anywhere in this country with no problem. Anywhere. I could even travel and make close to $100 an hour. I don't want to do that. And I don't want to do that because it's change. Do I like my job? Mostly. I would prefer something better, but again, it's going to be the same no matter where I go. And because I'm already there, I don't want to change anything.
Well, isn't it just like a sliding scale? How much? Okay, so how much do I enjoy what I'm doing versus how much of a pain in the ass it's going to be to track down a new job, interview, go in, learn everything new.
Because
if you're fine with it, then it's fine.
Even the fact that there's 2 hospitals in the city, and just the fact of going from one to the other is enough change that it's disheartening, and the stress levels I get when I have to potentially go there go through the roof.
They do everything different. It's a different flow. I don't know anything. Yeah, you and your brother are related.
Like, why have you been working in your job for the last 15 years? Because we both had the same job for the last 15 years, almost.
Yeah.
It's consistency. You've worked it. You're right. You've worked your way up the ladder.
And both of us get paid very well to do what we do. And
that only changed this year. And that only changed because they were trying their fucking hardest to keep people. Like,
well, you would say that you make more than the average person, as do I.
Compared to, well, yes, but I have a 2-year degree. I am in a trade field.
And I'm a manual labor biatch, but that's not the point.
Well, the thing is
I wear a brown hat. Okay, come on.
But my point is, you could potentially go to a competitor and potentially get paid more.
No.
Once your seniority would be gone. You don't do that.
I'm the highest. Look, in my field, I am the highest paid. I have the best benefits, and I have a pension. There's
where are you going?
To go anywhere else.
Yeah,
that's the other thing.
Fine.
So that's the other thing, and that's a good thing to bring up. We both stay with our jobs and with the companies we work for the exact same reason you just said. We have the pay, we have the pension, and we have that security. We are far, by and large, outliers. Like 95 to 99% of the companies in Colorado do not offer pensions. Do not offer the same level of security that your job especially does, and that my job does.
Are you a union? Do you have a union? Because that's a big thing. Okay.
And that's a touchy subject because and that could be a whole other fucking episode. It is frowned upon to even mention it. Like, it is potentially fireable to mention it. Which is ridiculous.
We're starting to drift.
I know, but that was my point. Is we are in a unique position because we were talking about staying in jobs for 30 years. Back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, that was an option because company loyalty existed. Companies looked out for people that stayed with them, and then something shifted, and now it doesn't matter because now they can pay people less that are new.
Right.
And there's that revolving door.
So times changed. Now you have to adapt. It happens.
So by adapting, you mean the companies screw people over more, so people just have to adapt to it.
Just in a different way.
Yeah.
They've been screwing people over for
well, no, I agree, but there at least used to be some semblance of...
Everybody's got to bend over. It's just how far you're willing to do that. Now,
look, at least after 50 years, you get a gold watch. Give me a gold watch. That's all I ask.
I don't know. I think in the grand scheme, of all of this topic,
we're in a dark age.
No, I think we are right where we need to be. Let's not look too far into the future because,
it's scary because capitalism might not be there.
Everything, capitalism comforts me.
Yes, I know. That's why I said that.
I know. But anyway, real quick.
Let's bash a billionaire.
I was going to say let's talk about Pluto because...
Oh, yeah. Okay,
Pluto might become a planet again, which I am totally for.
Oh, really? Back in it?
I'm guessing nobody asked Pluto when they took him away.
I kind of brought this up with him earlier when we were talking about what we were going to talk about, and the consensus is it's tricky because Pluto is and does qualify as kind of a dwarf planet, and it is in the Kuiper Belt. Is it the Kuiper Belt? I know I'm pronouncing that wrong. Kuiper. But on the flip side, it is Pluto. Like, it's a named They should just make it a
with
planet.
Pluto, is it 8? Because that's what I grew up with. Was it 8 planets including Pluto, or was it 9?
Pluto was number 9, and then they
Okay.
took it away, and then they said okay, and then they brought
Well,
and
and then
goes
they
back and forth.
They classified it. Well, it hasn't gone back and forth yet, but they classified it as a dwarf planet, and then it's like
They
they
were
were trying
offended.
to
It should have been Little Planet.
They they were trying to say it was a moon, and then it's an ice moon. It's a planet. Who knows?
Well, I heard there's way more moons than planets. Is that right, John?
oh yeah, no, there's. I think what I said was if they were to classify every dwarf planet as a planet, or every planet that was like Pluto as a planet, we'd have 179 planets.
Oh, and people don't even know 9, so that's not going to happen.
That'd be a really long acronym.
Oh, it would be terrible. Yeah,
Paragraph.
This is going to take a while. Hold on.
I can only remember the first 9 parts of pi, so
Pies are square. No, pies are round. Pi isn't squared.
3.1415926. That's all I got. It's
Fascinating.
Yes, pi is infinite when I'm eating it.
Until you get around, and then it's invisible.
Yes.
It's gone.
Throw a little whipped cream on it, and goodbye.
And bacon, and little sausage. Ugh, God damn it.
Well, okay, so we talked about that. Now we're running out of time. So Kirk, I just got to tell you, we did get. So you told me, and you clued us in that Jeff Bezos' birthday was last week.
Yes, I believe it was Tuesday. I think.
And so, as Fuzed Relativity, we decided to give Jeff Bezos a birthday present because.
What? The man who has everything, and we gave him something more?
Oh, that was faster than I thought. Oh, well.
We got him a statue and got him to be named Times Person of the Year.
Oh, and he's so much of a dick. He's pixelated. It's like Bigfoot, like every photo is blurry. It's like Bezos, every photo is pixelated. He's that much of a dick.
This is what happened when John uploaded them to Twitch.
Oh, that went to... Okay, we'll see how Twitch...
No, Twitch,
he didn't
Twitch
even do
automatically...
that. We didn't
Twitch
even
is
do,
like,
yeah,
you can't show that.
It was obscene. It was obscene and inappropriate. And don't even think about putting up his rocket.
Jeff Bezos. So Times Person of the Year. Jeff Bezos, the first. What is that say?
It's tiny. Hold on. Oh, I might have closed. It's on my phone. Hold on.
The first private citizen to almost go to space in a questionable rocket.
Yes.
Yeah.
Looks like a dick.
Good for him. He's helping people. Or not.
So there's our birthday present to Mr. Jeff Bezos. Nobody can see it.
No.
But
he knows.
He knows. he knows. Anyway, so that was our little Jeff Bezos birthday present.
Well, can we keep the comedy rolling? Should we go over to...
Let's go to Kirk's Corner.
Right,
might as well. That was a nice little warm up there.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, nothing has changed this week.
Because John's tired.
Yes.
That was something.
That champagne's a little flat now.
Yeah, the bubbly isn't bubbly no more. Yeah, well, I bartend. I didn't have any time to come up with anything creative, so it's just, you know what? It's another comedian's dozen. It's just jokes and silliness, and then a list. So, are you guys okay with that?
Go with it.
All right. So here we go. Okay, so here's the first one. Fish have been getting trolled for decades. Okay, come on. That's the old ball and chain told me my old balls have changed. All right. You know what? I have an ingrown toe ring. That's hashtag painful and dumb. Okay, here's a space one. Here's one. Okay, here's a sitcom episode idea. Saturn, the planet Saturn, loses its rings, but can't let its wife find out. Okay. All right, there we go. How about this? You guys have kids. Naming your kid Orange will not keep them from getting teased. Hashtag nice try. Okay, because nothing rhymes with orange. Here's the it's kind of is a science thing. Clouds with silver linings cause 12% of airplane crashes. I was flying through a cloud. There's just a bar of silver. I'm going down. Oh God. Baby gotta back up that computer. Hashtag nerd flirt. Come on, that's you computer guys out there going to be using that. How about this one? The night before Christmas, all the delivery drivers are exhausted. All right. That's too close to home. I think you might agree that if ignorance is bliss, why aren't more people happy? Here's okay. A little education one. 84% of Supreme Court justices started out judging wet t-shirt contests. And one started as a wet t-shirt contestant. Hashtag Scalia.
I believe that.
That's totally true. Okay, so two more, and then we're getting to the list. Economists talk about two things: the economy and tits. Okay, that's just nothing.
I wish I could sing one day.
Oh yes. No.
Oh, I'll bring that up.
No. All right. Okay. One more, and hold that thought then. Here's the thing: are there fancy pants zombies who only eat the brains of smart people? You know what I mean? Like they go to like Whole Foods and they're like, no, he doesn't have a PhD. I don't want to touch that. Okay. You guys with your brain jokes, I'm not making fun of you. Okay. How about this here's the two lists. Here's a list. These are the least popular scented candles. Okay. Least popular. Don't buy it. These aren't selling well. Burning hair. That is stink bait. Ugh. Why did they make that? Chris.
I knew it.
Yeah, it had to be there. Come on. And next to Chris, concert porter potty. And then there was wet dog, under the dry dog, hot dog water, and then the goat. Not the greatest, an actual goat. Okay, so those are the not popular scented candles. Here's another one. Okay, here's the next one is tattoos. Tattoos no one has. These are ones that are not on anybody's body. The first one is crochet the day away. They don't. If you crochet, you're not going to do that. The next one is you can have my gun. Here you go. No one has that tattooed. NPR or death. That doesn't come up much. Here's just the word freckles. People don't like freckles. And if found, please deposit at closest botanical gardens. Those are tattoos that no one has. So, John, what did you have? You had something popped out at you.
It was when you were talking about the what was it, the one with tits?
Economists.
Oh, the reason I laughed is because there was a joke on on TikTok, and it's an older joke than that, obviously, but it's you can't spell advertisement without semen between the tits.
That fits. That's a nice one.
John made it funny.
I did not make this funny. I only heard this funny, and I'm relaying it.
somebody else is funny, but still, you remembered it, and you didn't. You know what? You didn't do the thing which I'm going to tell you the funniest joke, and then they screw it up, and you're, God damn it!
That's why I had to Google it, because I would have screwed it up.
You Googled how to tell this joke. No, I was actually thinking I want to get a tattoo. If I ever got a tattoo, I would just be fuck Google. Because like I'm working at the bar, and I'm like, all right, everybody, I'm going to pose a question, and we're going to figure it out just with our knuckleheads. Fuck Google. Do it. Fuck Google. Ask the guy next to you. What do you think? That's a social movement. Can I start a hashtag? Fuck Google.
I would imagine that already exists.
Oh, I think I'm too late to the party.
Well, let's see. I will Google.
Well, Google's not going to tell you. Yeah.
Top one on. Yeah, it is a very popular one, but it seems to be popular with a certain side.
With that,
John,
let's transfer. Let's transfer over back to the podcast booth in space. I'm excited for this.
Screw that up.
Oh,
no, it's been a technical. I'm just on point today.
I think you just like listening to yourself only. So,
well,
you muted us for the first half hour of you because you needed to talk.
All right, so guys, I'm going to go first with the off topic, and I'm going to start this by saying two things. Number one, it is a true fact that the sun with sunglasses on still can't look at John. Number two,
correct, right?
If Kirk were even remotely funny, he would still be on the Fuzed Relativity podcast. Seems kind of mean. Seems kind of mean, but
am I getting kicked off? Is that what that means? You're letting me go.
No. So today is Kirk. I don't think you knew this, but today is National Roast Day.
I did not know that.
And I figured I might as well roast you without you knowing it, and then clue you in. And the reason I brought this up is because, of all people, Wendy's restaurant really gets into National Roast Day, and it is awesome.
Really?
Yeah. So people can go on to Twitter and ask Wendy's to roast them. And I cherry-picked a few of my favorites. One was Cinnabon, Wendy's reply. And we're talking about Wendy's the restaurant, just so everybody's clear. Yeah. So Cinnabon asked for a roast, and Wendy's replied, the saddest part of anyone's layover.
Yeah, because you're not happy. It's like I think it's like a beanbag of sadness.
Someone from Wyoming asked for a roast, and it was, well, that's perfect for you because you look like a tumbleweed in human form.
Tumbleweed.
The Axe body spray got roasted, and it said, sure. Remember when Axe was created just to cover up puberty?
Oh, yep. And then it spread to adolescents and the clubs, and yep, got out of hand.
Aviation American Gin. Desperation to be culturally relevant is not a gin flavor, but we love the effort.
Just keep getting me drunk. I don't care what you're calling yourself.
7-Eleven. If you're looking for a burn, check out your hot dogs.
Wait,
and then
you who eats anything somehow is getting all snobby about food. You think you're really? Come on.
Hey, this was Wendy's.
Taco Bell and Come on. This isn't you. All right, fine. I take it back then.
Okay, so two more. Aflac, the insurance company with the duck.
The duck, yeah.
Yeah. So Aflac asked for a roast, and Wendy's replied with a roasted duck.
There you go. See, that's cool. There you go. That was a good zinger.
So, and then No. Finally, my favorite. Some weather lady in some news channel somewhere asked for a roast, and Wendy said, Most jobs can be replaced by technology. Yours can be replaced by looking out a window.
But
that was my off topic.
Those
You know what?
fun. Wendy Burns.
I can transition to that, but mine's like a week old because I was going to bring it up last week. Did you see what Pabst Blue Ribbon tweeted at the beginning of the year?
No.
So they tweeted, not drinking this January, try eating ass. Which, odd for... Well, and then one of the comments was, PBR or ass, what's the difference? And they're like, ask your mom.
Oh, they set them up. That was, they stepped right into that.
Like, PBR, whoever was this PR dude went on a tangent that morning and was just like all over the place. And then they obviously deleted everything and were like, oh, we're sorry for that. But I found it was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, that's a problem. Well, the social, having corporations have social media, that seems like a big problem because like something like that could instantaneously pop on if somebody just has a bug up their ass or they think it's funny, and then it's just all of a sudden it's an hour later I apologize, the corporation apologizes, and we're shutting down.
Well, it's
that. Let's have more fun.
Well, and I agree.
Quit being so sensitive, people. Let's have a good time. Take a joke.
Preach. Amen.
But yeah, no, as soon as you started bringing up Wendy's, I was like, PBR fits. Because it's PBR.
Kirk, what you got, man?
Mine is just a quick story about a man in Auckland, New Zealand, which I flew into when I went to. So I've been there. Auckland, New Zealand. He had a cockroach trapped in his ear for 3 days. Just a couple things. Ew. First of all, ew again. And here's the thing: Auckland is the bustling metropolis of northern. That's the big hustle and bustle city. So I can't even imagine what's going on in the sticks. You know what I mean? Like what New Zealand hillbillies are up to, what's happening in their ears if this guy's a cockroach. That was my big takeaway of just I don't know. All right, people in Paris or I don't know. They have goat ticks. What are they? What are they? What you know what I mean? Do you follow my logic? There, and this is the hub. Oh my God! How far is the New Zealand hillbilly going?
And why not just use one of those little Dr. Light thingies? Just shoot some light in there. Roach will run out. It's all good. They
thought it was water, so he went to the dock and they just use a hair dryer and because they thought it would just brrr, and they would just evaporate it. And they're like, no, there's still something there. And just 3 days, she looked in, she's like, looks like there's an insect in there. And just how would that would just be how embarrassed would you feel? I'm such a filthy, disgusting human being, in a cockroach is nestling in parts of me, right? I mean, that can't be a high point. You're not telling that at the class reunion. Oh yeah, but yeah, infestation in my eardrum. Yep, totally. What?
Don't turn your head to the side. That's all I gotta say.
All right, bugs in the ear. That's what I got.
It reminds me of Men in Black. With the roaches, and he's
yeah.
And wasn't there a bug that if you put it would tell you, translate or something? Am I misremembering?
I don't know.
That might be Hitchhiker's Guide. It was a thing you put in your ear, and then you could understand any language.
Oh, the Babelfish.
That was Hitchhiker's, not
yes,
right? Okay, yes. Yep. Sorry, I crossed my nerd things midstream.
Never cross the streams, Kirk. Come on.
Never. You don't cross the streams. Bad news. Well, so that was number 44?
Number 44.
Is that
Yes.
Henry Aaron? We're the home run champ
And
now.
even
That's
though we
right.
screwed up, or not we, I screwed up the first 15 minutes, we still went over an hour.
Yeah. Well done, technology boy.
Yeah.
And then you paused the stream on the Discord. Come on, John.
What are you
You're ahead
talking
in the
about?
game.
What?
I don't know. You paused the stream in the Discord. This episode.
How did
has
I
been
do
paused.
that?
You can't pause a stream; it stings.
Yeah.
Oh. See, I think this is all Windows 11. I'm blaming Windows 11.
Yeah. Blame Bill Gates. I'm sure. It's his fault.
Well, the reason why it paused is because I was looking up. Not looking up. I was making sure everything was going. We're now on Apple Podcasts.
Oh
whatever
yeah.
the-
We got on Apple Podcasts and we are on Spotify, Google,
Nice.
YouTube, TikTok, Twitter. We're everywhere. Instagram. We got it covered, people. So anywhere you want to find Fuzed Relativity content, you can.
But let me
Right.
tell you how much of a pain in the ass that was to get on Apple. Like, the whole reason I wasn't able to do it the last, year is because I had to download iTunes in order to verify, by putting in a credit card, that I was who I was. That's why it wouldn't let me create a Spotify podcast thing.
Look, and can I say we're never happier, but the guy who roped us into the Apple he was a snake. So we're a little, maybe I'm a little concerned. He may go south.
It could be Kirk, and I'm just spitballing here, that they were afraid there would be too many downloads, so they didn't want us to break Apple. So
Okay. we don't want to go and get apple sauce, which is actually getting applesauce would be healthy opposed to regular sauce.
ooh, with a little cinnamon, yeah, it'd be great.
There you go. We've turned into Martha Stewart at the end there. Martha Stewart in space. Everybody, put a little cinnamon in your applesauce, and keep your eyes on the stars. We'll see you next week. Okay, now say goodbye.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thanks for listening to us. Episode 44, double fours. We're looking for episode 45 next week. Hopefully, you will join us. For John, Chris, and myself. No, I am Chris. For John, Kirk, and myself.
God damn it.
I had to mention myself twice. What can I say?
Yeah. All right, egomaniac. All right, we get it. You're the head guy. All right. Jesus.
Episode 45. Can't wait to see you next week. Go boldly, friends.